Hello and welcome to the Creators Series. Authors, speakers, poets, artists, there's inspiration all around us. I am Praveen Shekhar, an outlier marketer. This series is brought to you by Candu, a social entity skilling and employing people with disabilities. Talk to them for relationship mapping, competitor tracking, and connecting with the right decision maker. This series is supported by Notion Press, one of the fastest growing publishing platforms in the world. If you've got a story to tell, they will help bring you out. Our guest today is Saurav Jain, somebody whom I've been following for over a decade. It was 11 years ago when I first met this strapping young gentleman at a course that my wife and I joined on Facebook marketing before Facebook marketing was even a thing. So that's how long I've been tracking Saurav. Saurav is an entrepreneur, a digital marketing, social media expert, a consultant, author, speaker, and he runs a digital marketing agency called Ecovme. Saurav is an author of multiple books, and as a corporate trainer, he's trained employees in several corporates, including Times of India, Dainik Bhaskar, Navbharat Times, Genpact, HCL, and a host of companies across Asia Pacific. He regularly hosts social media marketing boot camps. I have attended one of them, and till date, I would hazard he's trained over 8,000, 9,000 people in this. So, Saurav, welcome.
Hi, Praveen. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And it's a privilege to be a part of this because you have always been my early days mentor in my journey. And I know whenever I was stuck, I used to come to you. So thank you for inspiring and thank you for doing great things like you always do.
Lovely. Saurav, let's start off. Now, the book I have in front of me is yours, 101 Content Marketing. And I know you have written two or three other books. Could you tell us about that, please?
So this is the book where I talk about quick tips snackable tips that people can just finish the book in 10 to 15 minutes. They don't have to spend a lot of time reading a book. So that's why this book was created, because a lot of people are guilty of buying books and not finishing it. So this was created, it is a heavy book, looks very heavy, but within 10 minutes, it will just get you one idea that you can implement and get some good knowledge out of it. The second book which I have written is Become a Brand, which is a little heavy book where I talk about the potential opportunities in building your personal brand on social media and how to really create your social media strategy for selling your content across on the internet for your personal branding, basically. The third one, which I wrote, is Sold Out, which is fairly basically all about real estate lead generation on social media. These are three books, and the one book which I'm working on right now is Houseful, which basically is all about how do you sell your events on social media.
Brilliant. So you're all stringing it together. So it's not just one book, it's a sequence that leads. And I would put this more as a tidbit that got me hooked on to your next book. And the way you name them is also brilliant, Saurav. How's your book doing? Sold out. So that creates a buzz in itself. Now, Saurav, you are a multipreneur. You are into a lot of things. So how do you sit and write? What goes into your thought process when you write? When do you write?
Good question. So right now, I'm not in a book writing spree because I have done that last year and I committed to it. So first of all, it requires a commitment. So that was the first thing because that was my goal for 2020 and I was able to achieve it. So every day, I think a lot of things will just be planned as a blog or as a YouTube video or as a content which is going on social media out there. So that's how basically a lot of things were actually planned. So the content which is created for social media compiled together and made it into format of a blog post. So that is how I actually work. I mean, made it into format of a book. That's how I basically write books. So content that's tested, people are engaging with it, and then I compile them together and make it in the format of a book. That's one. Second, I have this habit of making case studies after I have worked with multiple brands. So every brand that I work with, I write case study after what I have done for the brand, which is to be presented to the client. And that case study is what I compile into my other books. So those case studies goes in books like Sold Out and Houseful. So book writing for me is not like a exactly, I don't dedicate my time to write a book, but I dedicate my time to create content for the internet or for my clients. and then I compile them as an experience for the audiences to read.
The point number 7 that you mentioned in this particular book is about content creation and curation. So those who cannot create, you go ahead and curate from other sources and bringing it together. In your case, in your personal brand and also for ECOVME, you are using experiential learning case studies that you string together and curate. What is your advice for other people in terms of curating content and putting it together in some form that can be consumed by their audience?
Right. So a lot of people get stuck in the journey because they just can't create content and they think that they're not good for it. So you need to then dedicate to a process of not being original, but being good at doing collection or researching on good pieces of content. For example, if you see this one-on-one content marketing book is actually curation of multiple ideas together, where I talk about one-on-one content marketing ideas, and I've curated whatever I think is best that I found on the internet that people can actually do and implement it for their business. So this is just an example of how curation works, where you figure out 10 ways to keep yourself happy. So what would be all these ways? You research, figure out every single way, and then compile them together and present it. And always stay curated from multiple sources. So curation is a lot more easier, and and people value your effort because you're educating them by putting your effort in research. So don't just believe in originality, because a lot of people, if you are aiming at becoming an author and you're just believing that you have to write everything original, then you will get stuck. So first time authors can always think of curating so that they can actually learn the process of how exactly it works.
Brilliant. I would attribute one quote to Seth Godin, that there are no original ideas, only original combinations. So curation is you are putting it together and putting your stamp on it. But Saurabh, I have been following you. You have multiple sources of learning, of staying on the cutting edge. Could you tell us how you do that? Whom do you follow? What do you do to get to be on the latest cutting edge?
Right. So I think one of the things that I do is I constantly observe and analyze the latest trends in the industry. So I keep my hands on it, and I've subscribed to multiple sources of information from multiple blogs and news portals online. So every time there is a buzz on social media or the subject which is of my interest, I get notifications and I read them in the morning, and that's a regular thing that I generally do. Second is I follow multiple experts. Because though I might be expert for many of them, I also follow multiple experts so that I can learn from them. So I'm a lifelong learner, and I have my mentors. I learn from Sam Owens, Russell Brunson. I look at what they have been doing, what their strategies have been, and then I try to adapt that for my business. So these are the ways that we can always, one is to observe and learn and benchmark your competitors. And to just look at the industry updates. And the second is to actually figure out some expert in your domain who's definitely better than you or one step ahead of you. And you can be under their guidance and their mentorship to learn from them.
Brilliant. I have been to your office as well, Saurabh, a couple of times, including the newer one. How are you transferring this virus of learning? It's the wrong word today, but it's a virus that I see that buzz going around with everybody in ECOVME. How do you ensure that?
I think it's a cultural fit. We choose people who we believe have the same energy like us. So we try to look at their passion for the subject and not really the experience in the process. But if they're very passionate and if they've done some good work for themselves or for the clients that they've worked with, we take them on board. And one thing that is constant here is that everybody keeps learning. So the managers who are managing the team, they're supposed to be updating the team with new things. We keep innovating every week. So we find out what new can we do for the brand. So that makes a lot of difference.
Beautiful. How do you experiment here? Because I've seen the book has a lot of examples of what you've done for your clients and how it has had a positive impact. And this is a creator series, so I would need to look into Saurabh Jain's brain to understand how you keep this experimenting part alive.
Awesome. So I think when we're looking at innovation, we look at the topical subject, right? So what's in the trend right now? For example, 2021, which means it's a year, and people will think of resolution 2020 is end of the year, and then 2021, one is a big name. So we start thinking, how can we really connect these dots and create something very creative? There is always, so topical content is always first priority for us. So that's where we source ideas from. Second is nature. Everything, like let's say it's raining in Chennai right now, and this is unusual. And never in Jan we have seen Chennai raining, right? So we've never seen rains in Chennai. So this is again where we think, okay, can we do something for rains in Chennai during the odd time and create content? Now, also we look at what's the internet trend. Right now, there are people discussing US versus India, right? How things are in the US and how things are in India. So we immediately adapt this concept for all the businesses that we are working in. So these are some of the ways that we try to create fresh content or strategy on, by looking at daily inspirations, by looking at inspirations on what's going viral on the internet, which music, which video is going viral. So we try to adapt the same for the businesses that we are working on.
Beautiful. I love it because it falls under the alternative learning series that you have inspiration all around. You just got to be awake and be receptive. Saurav, a question here. You've worked with so many clients. Do you have any example of micro marketing for one of the clients where they have narrowed down or geotagged their clientele and had a very focused initiative or launch?
Okay, so we work with a lot of local salons in the city and local retail stores. So one of the core objective for us is, instead of talking to everyone out there, talk to people who it really matters to. Okay. For example, one of the things that I generally do is I talk to all the experts when let's say I make a video on digital marketing trends, and that's uploaded on Facebook. Facebook gives us choice to do micro targeting. So I ensure that this video is reaching out to all the marketing heads and all the CEOs and all the top guys in the city, so that if they watch this video, whether they contact me or not, they will at least know me. So instead of sitting down and going and doing networking in multiple events, I just make one video, make it reach to them. My networking is just done, right? The second thing is, I was talking about retail stores. So the second thing that we do is we do geo-local, hyper-local targeting. So let's say if there's a store in Ananagar or in any part of the city, we ensure that the post or the content reaches out to 2-kilometer audience. We invest a lot in that, because you need to be the king of your local area first, the micro area, I would say, than becoming the king or queen of the entire city. So that's what we try to do. We do a lot of investments in the hyper local targeting, so that we communicate to that specific segment that really, really matters. Besides this, digital as an industry itself has a scope today to not just go bombard things as in the case of traditional, where you just have to ensure that you have to focus on the design and the newspaper ad has to reach out to people, right? But here you have the scope today that if client has a budget of 20 lakhs, we can always spend 20,000 first on different markets or different segments and see which segment is working, and then accordingly we can plan the budgeting for them. So that's how I think micro testing, micro marketing is the most important thing for small businesses or small enterprises, and even for large enterprises, to before they jump to take a big leap, they need to really do a micro testing in the market.
Beautiful. Last couple of questions. And this one is, yes, you took a goal last year to write the books. You've written it down. What's your focus this year? Is it courses? Because I love your Instagram course. What is the focus this year for Saurav?
So this year, my focus is to see how I can nurture the community that I have built through my Instagram course. Second is, I have an institute called Digital Scholar. So I want to take that forward and in fact, get you on board as one of the trainers. So that's I'm pitching you in your session. So I think my focus this year is to see how I can make sure that I educate and transform a lot more people digitally. As a coach, as a digital marketer, and as an influencer. So this is my motto for 2021.
Right. One last question about Saurav, the person. I know you love traveling, the wrong thing now, but then what are your plans for 2021?
So I think I've already taken last 3 months after the moment the lockdown the things started getting unlocked. I went to Pune, Jaipur, then Goa. So I believe so right now to travel in India is my focus, not traveling outside of India. But I think every month I basically take a break. But one of the goals this year is to take a spiritual break, and I'm figuring out a destination. So that's in my agenda for 2021, a spiritual
Lovely.
holiday.
Saurav, always inspiring to talk to you, especially listening to your alternative sources, the micro marketing yarn, and of course, some of your books, especially the social media part, is you got to keep rereading, and every time we read, it keeps giving us a whole lot of other ideas and inspirations. So, viewers and listeners, go check out sauravjain.com, SORAVJAIN.com for his books, courses, and a whole lot of content that he's coming out with. Saurav, once again, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Praveen. Wishing you a good day, and you are awesome. Take care.